Good afternoon, everyone. This is Nitya Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 999. Happy Thursday. This is we're having a really special guest on today. His name is Richmond Webb. He's a former Texas A&M, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle. He went to Texas A&M. Like I said earlier, he's a seven-time Pro Bowl, two-time first-team All-Pro, two-time second-team All-Pro, NFL 1990s All-Decade Team, and Miami Dolphins honor roll. Man, what a great career, in my opinion. One of the best offensive tackles back in the day. And fans, please tune in on Spreaker, Spotify, Anchor, on all the podcast platforms. And on the Spreaker app, the fans can join in and ask questions to Richmond too. But first of all, Richmond, thanks for joining the show. It's truly an honor. How are you and your family doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. Glad to be on your show. I know we talked a little while back and finally was able to everything and get it going. So I'm glad to be here. So thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, no problem. Like I said earlier, you're one of the best offensive tackles in my opinion. And I had your former teammate yesterday, Kerry Glenn, and he spoke high praise about you. But before we get to your career, I just want to ask you, have you been a part of, like as a player, have you been part of this this craziest off seasons before when you were playing? Because this off season is bonkers, and obviously your former team made a huge trade yesterday, getting Tyreek Hill. So I just want to get your thoughts. Have you been part of like off season like this before?
I probably have. It didn't ring because that was so long ago. But I mean, the Dolphins are really being aggressive in free agency. They signed a couple of guys. I know they signed Agba.
Yeah.
They offered Gesicki, the 1-year deal or whatever, and then Tyreek Hill and Armstead. Those two additions within free agency just started a little over a week ago, and they're being really aggressive. So I know the fan base is extremely happy, extremely excited, and look like they're doing things and addressing needs that we need in order to be competitive next year. So I'm excited. So I know the fan base is definitely excited.
Yeah, I got to ask you about Armstead later on the show because he's a fellow, same position. He plays on the offensive line too. But I want to ask you about your career, man, being from Dallas, Texas, and going to Texas A&M. And when was the first time that you realized that you wanted to play football?
Oh man, growing up in Texas, that's what it is. Football is the state of Texas, but man, I can remember probably early as probably 5-6-year-old, and all the old school guys, Everson Walls, you name it, Cliff Harris, Charlie Waters. That was what I grew up on, and those guys there for years. And then they have a coach like Tom Landry at the time, coaching the Cowboys. And, back then the coaches wore suits on the sideline. Everything's changed now. But it was just instilled in me at a young age. I always loved playing sports, and football and basketball is probably one of my two favorite sports. So, probably from I think that was every kid's dream back then.
Yeah, I'm a big Dallas Cowboy fan here from Jersey, and I'm a huge Cowboy fan. My father brought me up as a Cowboy fan, so I don't remember the old days, but I do remember the triplets. So Michael Irvin, Emmitt Smith, and Troy Aikman. So
they had a good run back then. Yeah, they were really good. They had that whole team was just really talented, and they won 3 Super Bowls, but possibly could have squeezed out another one. They had a real good run. Great players back then.
Yeah, so I'm just curious. So when you were playing football at the younger days, do you ever dream to yourself, maybe one day, maybe I can play for the Cowboys? Did you ever dream about that?
Yeah, I think as a little kid, like especially the team that you really follow, and always probably through college. Looked at other teams. I had favorite players on other teams, but when it came time on Sundays, it was rooting for the Cowboys. And I can remember going to the combine and stuff like that. And I think that's when you probably don't go where you want to go. It's just depending on where you get picked and all that. And at the time, my wish was to go somewhere warm. I wanted to stay away from the cold weather team. But I got fortunate, and Don Shula brought me to Miami. So he was same caliber coach like Tom Landry. So to be up under someone like that type of leadership, and well. I think it froze.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yeah, it froze up for a minute. Sorry about that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Yeah, so we are live with the former NFL offensive tackle Richmond Webb. Please tune in, and we already have a fan question for you. Someone wants to know, what does being offensive lineman mean to you?
It's a position I played. It's not most of the time a glory position. Most of the time you get your name called. It's basically if you jump off sides or it's a holding penalty. So if you're looking for, notoriety and, rah-rah and this and that, that's not the position to play. But, it's a rewarding position because, you play a critical part to the team's success. Everything starts up front. I always tell people in offensive, defensive line. So that's it. It's not a glory position. It's not like playing quarterback, running back, or wide receiver, one of the skill.
Oh, all right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. It'll like freeze up and then you'll come back. Sorry about that. So
I think it's on my end. I think it's on my end. Yeah,
okay.
I don't know what's going on. But for you, what did playing basketball help you, like, with the movement when you chose football? Would you say playing basketball helped you with the movement, especially being offensive lineman?
Yeah, I'm a firm believer in playing multiple sports because you train different muscles and one can help complement the other one. And so I played basketball in high school, and we used to do drills with me playing the post in high school, this and that. It forced me as far as with footwork, lateral movement, side to side, and being able to adjust quick on the fly. I think that was tremendous in my development as far as just you learn that, and then it's just muscle memory. You do it so much, and then it kind of helps incorporate in even different sport. The footwork and stuff definitely helps, especially when you got defensive end, outside linebackers that are really fast, really athletic, and that there. So it definitely played a huge part in my success.
All right. So we have another fan question. Someone wants to know, what's the Skyline report on Richmond Webb as a basketball player?
Oh no, that was just a tool to use to help me improve being a better football player. I mean, I love basketball and stuff in high school, but to be honest, football was a sport. That was the way for me to go. I mean, I was a lot smaller in high school, stuff like that. But yeah, my frame was a football player, but it definitely helped. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't have made it to the NBA if I'd have stuck with basketball. But I love playing the game, though.
Yeah. So tell our fans. I'm just curious because what was it like for you? Obviously, being from Dallas, Texas, staying close to home for college, Texas A&M, and being right there with your family, and so your family can go visit you during the season, play and watch you play games. So how important was that for you when you made your choice for college?
Yeah, I visited. I got letters from all over the country coming out of high school, but I didn't want to go too far, so I looked at the state of Texas, and the couple of schools I looked at outside of Texas was University of Oklahoma and Oklahoma State, and I ended up choosing Texas A&M. But you're right, that was an important factor. 3 hours from Dallas, so they could come down for a game, watch us, and this and that. And it was great because we won 3 Southwest Conference championships when I was there. So turned out to be a pretty good decision. And then I always kind of felt after I finished playing football, I wanted to move back to Texas because I was just like living there. I love Florida too. I visit there a lot, but moved back to Texas, and then just with the A&M alumni and stuff like that, I get to interact with a lot of people and network and stuff. So it was a good decision for me.
So take us back to your high school career. You got to play with former NFL players, Aaron Wallace and Kevin Williams, who played for the Cowboys too. So what was your, tell our fans, what was your high school career like and playing with those 2 players?
Yeah, me and Aaron, we've been going to school together since about 3rd grade. So, we grew up as little bitty kids and started playing. I think he played high school. I think he played for a little league team in middle school. So but we all played together, knew each other, families knew each other, and then made the decision to go to Texas A&M together. And it was just really good. We both had years, and I got in 13, but we still interact to this day. Saw him maybe about a month ago, and so we still keep in contact. And you make those type of relationships, and it's always good when you're not the only one, but other people from that that grew up with you are able to experience that as well. So it was great.
So someone wants to know if you did not play football, what would you be doing throughout your career?
Yeah, if I didn't play football, I got my degree in industrial distribution, and that's basically sales marketing, where I probably could have went to work for a wholesaler or manufacturer of any type of industrial type products and solo. So I'm sure I would have tried to get a job in that, and I would have did something like that. So that's probably what I would have been doing if I hadn't played.
Yeah, so tell us about your Texas A&M career, man. Obviously, a great college football program and even basketball too. And what was it like playing in front of your family and friends and staying close to home? And I'm sure the atmosphere was amazing.
Oh, one of the loudest places to play. Great fan support. Like you said, family got to come and watch me, but actually, I started as a defensive end.
Wow.
Coming out. After about a year and a half, Coach Shula made the decision that moved me to offensive line. I had played offensive line in high school, but hadn't played it since then. And so at first wasn't happy about the decision, because I guess if you're any kind of competitor, you always want to say, well, you're going against these guys. But at the end of the day, I made the switch, and I just wanted to play. After a while, I said, it doesn't matter what side of the ball I want to play. So it actually ended up being the best thing for me. So I wasn't happy at the time, but Coach Earl knew something that I didn't, and made the switch, and it turned out, and my career took off and continued throughout the NFL. So I'm thankful now. I was a little upset when it first happened, but other than that, I'm happy. I love my coach. So yeah, that was it. But school big on tradition. Still today, I get back to some games and stuff like that. So yeah, if you hadn't experienced a game in Texas A&M, it's a great place to come watch, and they're pretty friendly with even the opponents that we're playing against.
Oh wow. Okay, it's definitely on my end. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, no problem. I'm just waiting till you come back, so you good.
Yeah. So speaking of Texas A&M, what was it like playing against other top level competition like Alabama or Clemson or whatever? So would you say that helped you guys become better and get you ready for the NFL by playing top level competition?
Yeah, I think the biggest switch I think I had to make, always played against tough schools like that. So that definitely helps you because you play against some of the better players in college and that. But I think the biggest transition for me was adjusting to throwing the football as much as we did. You know, when I was at Texas A&M, we were power running team, ran the option a little bit. So we threw the ball, but nothing like what I did when I came to Miami. So I can remember staying down in the summer after minicamp and working with John Sandusky. That was my offensive line coach, and he's probably one of the best to ever coach and this and that, and really helped me with the 2-point stance and played a huge role in my development of picking up everything so quickly. And he was a guy I could always go if I had questions, ask stuff, this and that. And he seemed like he always had the answer. So, and I think he played offensive line for the Cleveland Browns. So it was just, you know, he helped pass down all that knowledge he had learned from years ago and helped me become a great player. So I'm truly indebted to Coach Sandusky.
Yes, one of our fans want to know what music did you guys? What was your guys' hype music before a game?
Miami, you listen to Trick Daddy was one, Luke was one, and then you had the guys out west, Dr. Dre and Ice Cube, and then you had, you know, from the East Coast, I think Biggie and Puffy and all those guys was blowing up. So it was just a mix of that, and then a couple of groups from the Ghetto Boys from Texas, of course, and then UGK used to listen to a lot of them. So it was hyped up for the game, be ready to go. So that was probably a go-to for me.
Nice. Yeah, speaking of Dr. Dre, he killed it in the Super Bowl this year. That was awesome.
Put on an awesome show. He did. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, they represent.
Yeah, so for you, tell our fans about some of your best moments at Texas A&M as a player, and what would you say? Let me ask you, who would you say the toughest defensive player you had to go against in Texas when you were at Texas A&M?
I would say I'm gonna say toughest school we always played probably was the game that you wanted to win was University of Texas. That was arch rival. It didn't matter what the records were. And it was just a pride thing here in Texas, kind of like Auburn, Alabama, or kind of like Ohio State, Michigan. It was one of those type of rivalries, and you wanted to win. So it was a grudge match and a physical game, this and that. And the good thing is I never lost to Texas while I was here. So those guys I played against, we get to rub it in their face a little bit when we play against them. But yeah, that's probably some of the most fondest memories. And I'd probably say played against Texas back when I was in college. Mm-hmm.
And I think the rivalry is still there too, right? And right now,
they just Oklahoma and Texas just joined the SEC.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly when they'll actually enter in, but I'm sure that rivalry it won't take much. Yeah. It'll be good for television. It'll be good for the state of Texas and all that. So it's a good thing at the end of the day. Yeah.
So now tell her, actually, speaking of Texas, what are your thoughts on Earl Campbell? Man, amazing player throughout his career.
Known him, my whole life, and I actually got to meet him face to face late last year. And man, I remember when he was at Texas, won the Heisman, and they had the tearaway jerseys, and sometimes they rip it off and he'd still be running. And with him playing with the Oilers and stuff, it was Earl right, Earl left, Earl up the middle, but just a phenomenal player, great player, somebody I have tremendous respect for. And it was actually an honor to get a chance to meet him last year. So I love Mr. Earl Campbell, no doubt.
Yeah. So tell our fans about your draft experience and your combine experience too, and being with your family, waiting for your name to be called. You got drafted round 1, 1990, pick 9 by the Miami Dolphins, a great franchise with great players. But for you, take us to the draft experience and the combine process.
Yeah, the draft now is totally different than when I came out. It's almost like going to the Oscars or something now. And I had an opportunity to experience that a few years ago when they had the draft in Nashville, and actually got to call out one of the draft picks.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool. So I did that. But back when I came out, a few guys would go to New York. Now they move around to different cities. It's if you thought you were going to be, top first, second round pick, but I made the choice to stay at home. So I watched the draft in Dallas with my parents and my brother and sister. And it was, even though I was projected to go first round, it was still kind of nerve wracking because I can remember watching ESPN and they had like Mel Kiper, Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and I think Joe Theismann.
Wow.
And after about the 5th pick, the 6th, I kept hearing my name mentioned. They could use a tackle and they pick somebody else. The 7th pick was Andre Ware out of U of H, which they kind of had him slotted to go there. And then Chris Singleton got drafted the 8th pick. And as soon as he got picked, my mom's phone or my parents' phone started ringing, and I picked it up, and it was actually Coach Shula on the phone. And he said, "Hey, this is Coach Shula. Are you ready to be a Dolphin?" And I said, "Yes, sir." So all the nervousness and all that left because I had got that phone call to say, okay, I know where I'm going. And then I got a chance, like we said, to go to Miami, play for a Hall of Fame coach, and play with a Hall of Fame quarterback, and then get to play with the Marks brothers, Mark Duke and Mark Clayton. It was a perfect scenario. And Miami was warm, so I got everything I asked for. I couldn't ask for anything else. So it was great.
Hey, you got the whole package because being from Texas, warm weather, going to warm weather to another warm place, and you looked up to Tom Landry, and now you got to play with another great coach, Hall of Fame coach, and Don Shula. So for you, how relieved were you once you heard that call from Don Shula, and what was the first thing you did with your family after you got drafted?
I can remember getting off the phone, and what I kind of remember was I remember different people calling the house, some to say congratulations, but it was different media outlets that started calling to try to get quotes and stuff to, put out to the national deal. And then I remember, I think it was the NBC affiliate in South Florida that I had to go down to the NBC station in Dallas. And I think it was like maybe 5 or 6 o'clock, something like that. But went down there, had me on the news, and they piped me in. I had the thing in my ear and this and that, and got the interview. So that was pretty cool. That's what I truly remember. And then after that, I went and hung out with some friends, and then went back home after that. But yeah, it was, once I got happy, everything went good.
Yeah. So before we get to your Dolphins career, I just want to ask you. You played most of your games. You were healthy most of your career. And what did you do to stay healthy and keep your body right and to be able to get ready for these games? And man, you obviously had a great career, but you played most of your games. So what did you do to stay ready?
You know. Relax for a little bit and then get back to training, because I just believe when you've been through a long, grueling season, you got to give your body a little chance to rest. Then you get back to working out and, trying to get back in shape. You want to maintain your strength or get stronger, this and that. And that's what I did. And injuries early on, sometimes it's just part of the game, but I was just very blessed and fortunate that, I didn't experience a lot of injuries early on, and that definitely helped as far as the longevity of my career. But just doing the little things, doing the things you can do, working out, staying in shape, and this and that, and being ready to go once the season hit.
Yeah, so one of our fans want to know what was the Miami nightlife like with the palm trees, and obviously during the week off days. Well, one of our fans want to know, what did you do during the off days while you were in Miami?
Yeah, the thing about Miami is kind of like one of those cities, like New York or you say Jersey, whatever, or Vegas. It doesn't shut down. So when I came from College Station, most of the time everything kind of shut down around 2:00 there. Miami, it never shut down. I remember I went out maybe one Thursday or Friday night, and before I know it, it was like 4 a.m. I got home at 5, this and that, and I can remember, I think Saturday or something after the music, I was just sleeping because I wasn't used to being up like that. And I said, if I'm gonna hang out, I gotta hang out in the off season because it's just, some people can do it, but that wasn't for me. So I normally tried to hang out if I was gonna do that in the off season. But yeah, it's one of those cities. If you get caught up in that, you gotta make a decision of what's important to you and this and that. And that's what I did, and just stuck with it. So yeah, but I mean, great nightlife and all that. But one time I said, okay, if I'm gonna hang out, it's gonna be an off season.
Yeah. Yeah, so I got to ask you, coming in as a rookie, you got to play with obviously Dan Marino, Hall of Fame quarterback, Tony Page, Mark Clayton, you just mentioned, Richmond, obviously Keith Sims, and then Kerry Glenn. So what was it like coming into your rookie year and seeing players like that?
It was good. The thing was I came in with me and Keith Sims, and just the way we bonded and gelled everything so quickly, you would have sworn that we played in high school and college together. I mean, it was just match made in heaven, and it was good. But it was typically, I think the reason we got so much attention is typically you don't put two rookies on the quarterback's blind side and start them. And that was something Coach Shula did and had faith in us. And I mean, we got a ton of reps during the preseason and all that, but they got us prepared. And then I think for me, it made me more comfortable because I knew it was a young guy playing right next to me that, we just learned to communicate. If we mess up, we're going to mess up together. Fortunately, it wasn't that many times because we kind of studied and we knew what the expectations for, like I said, coming up under a coach like Coach Shula, and then and watching Mark Duke, Mark Clayton, like Tony Page, all these guys were veterans. So when we came in as rookies, we kind of had to fall in line because first round and you get passed. No, they was used to winning and they wanted to do the things to put them in the best position to win, to win the division, get to the playoffs and all that. And that was our goal. And so we just fell right up under that. And then that's why I think we had so much success is when you had that veteran presence and the expectations, it just continued to carry on. And then next thing you know, you're one of the guys that people are looking up to. So it was great. It was great.
Yeah, it's all about chemistry and building that camaraderie too. And obviously, if it's good to start before the season starts to get the glue thing together. And for you, what did Don Shula bring for you as a coach and the rest of your teammates, and what did he mean to the city of Miami?
Well, I think the thing that really made Coach Shula such a great coach is he focused on the little things. I think he knew that pretty much everybody had talent in on your assignment, not making mental mistakes and not making penalties to put yourselves in bad positions. So he always harped on the little things that other people might let slide. And a lot of times that will be the difference in, if you don't jump offside, then maybe that takes you out of field goal, or maybe instead of it being 3rd and 7, it's 3rd and 12. So it's a higher probability you're not going to get the first down. So he really harped on stuff like that. And then the other thing about Coach Shula was he always believed in giving back. So that was one of the things I can remember. The United Way was real big, giving to others less fortunate, visiting the hospital, giving away, at the food banks and stuff like that. So that was instilled in you that, you've been blessed with an awesome opportunity, but at the same time, it's a lot of people look up to you, and just going and spend a little time with people, it makes the world of difference in this and that. And we always had great fan support down there in South Florida. So kind of well-rounded, and a lot of that was attributed to how he managed everything and all that. So he was great.
Yeah, and it's going to be, speaking of Miami Dolphin fans, you played in front of, I think, in my opinion, one of the best fans in football too. And it's going to be popping again this year with the new additions they got. So I think you better go to some games, Richard, man, to Richmond.
Oh yeah. Normally I make it down to about 2 games, so I'm at least make it down to that. And as far as the alumni situation, the Dolphins alumni, they do an excellent job of bringing the guys back. Yeah. They have a weekend where if you want to play golf, this and that, have activities where we get together and you get to see a lot of your teammates. I met a lot of guys from that played before me, and I met a lot of guys after me. So it's just one big melting pot, and I always have a great time and go down. So most definitely I'll be down there this year.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what was it like playing with Dan Marino, blocking for him? And man, it must have been a treat for you because he's obviously one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game, Hall of Fame, obviously no Super Bowl rings, but he still worked hard and got to where he wanted to be. So what was it like playing with him? What was he like as a teammate on the field and off the field?
Yeah, probably one of the most competitive guys I ever played with. But, great teammate. But like I said, you learn a lot from guys like that. And you understand when you see the way he works in practice and how hard he will work in practice, that if he's doing that, then I got to at least match, because you seeing his dedication and how it's paid success for him. So if you want to be, as successful as him, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just watch the guys that kind of came before you and see their work ethic, putting in extra time, film study, this and that. And all that was learned from a guy like that. And then to actually play with him, practice with him, and then get in the game and then watch how he could execute when the game got on the line. He didn't tighten up or whatever. It was times we would get behind late in the game and he'd have to drive us down to get a touchdown. Everybody in the huddle feeds off the quarterback. So if he looks nervous or unsure about what he's doing, then it's going to trickle throughout the huddle. But we never had that experience. We always knew if he was back there and he was a quarterback.
Yeah, so for Dan Marino, what did he mean to the fans and especially to you and to the rest of Miami?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, it's two statues, I believe, out in front of the Dolphin Stadium. One of them is Don Shula, the other one is Dan Marino. So, like I said, he set that up and a ton of money to help, kids, that were less fortunate than him. And so, like I say, a lot of that was learned from Coach Shula. But he had such a big presence in South Florida even when I got there, that Dan loved him, and he's working with the organization now, which I think is a great thing. And they brought in some other former of my teammates actually on the coaching staff, so that's a great thing. So it's undescribable, but yeah, Dan he still got a huge impact in South Florida, even though he hadn't played over 20 years.
Well, that's amazing. And one of our fans want to know, did you have a nickname throughout your career?
I had a nickname in college. It was Bam Bam, kind of off the Flintstones. I don't know if somebody remember that, but they called me Big Dog most of the time when I was in Miami, or Big Webb or whatever like that. But that was probably my nickname in Miami. Yeah.
So tell our fans some of your best moments as a Dolphin, and what was it like seeing Mark Clayton go about his business, man? Heck of a receiver.
Yeah, I think some of the best moments was, the toughest thing was when we got there, really good teams, but we would always seem to lose to Buffalo in the playoffs. And that's why I try to, a lot of people look at and say, they went to the Super Bowl 4 times and lost, but they went 4 times in a row which is extremely hard. And I can remember we had the AFC Championship game in Miami, and they ended up beating us there. And that was a tough one, I think, for me to take, because I knew to get that close, to be at home in front of the fans, you got the crowd noises and they found a way to come back and beat us. That was a tough bit. The expectation when I got there was win the division, get to the playoffs, and then once you get to the playoffs, you see what happened. And we didn't necessarily win, but we would get to the playoffs and would be competitive, but we just wasn't able to make it all the way to the Super Bowl. I think that's the only that we always felt we had a win. We had an opportunity to win the game once we stepped on the field. So I think it was just that mental toughness, that mental attitude that was developed early on, because, like I said, it just trickled down, from Dan to Mark Clayton and Mark Duper. And to see those guys during the 2 minute when, the game was on the line, he'd give them 2 or 3 options to do. And then he would have to remember all that and then watch what happened and then get it out and how quick that would happen. So I was fortunate and privy to experience that with guys that caliber. So, yeah, we had some great times.
Yeah, so what does wearing a Dolphin jersey mean to you, and wearing the white, orange, blue helmet and jersey? Now the uniforms is still amazing. And what does that mean to you, being able to wear a Dolphins uniform?
Yeah, I played there 11 years, and then I went to Cincinnati, but man, to play there 11 years as long as I did, that's what I identify with. And like I say, the good thing is, they have, even though we retired, they have Dolphin alumni, and we get back and get to interact and with the former players or the guys that used to play and this and that. And, I'm a Dolphin for life. So it's like you say, it's all about the aqua and orange or the aqua and white, you want to say. That's what it is for me, because I spent so much time there. So, and the people were great, the fans were great, and I had some great teammates. So, yeah, I'm Dolphin. I'm Dolphin all over.
I love the jerseys, man. Those were the throwback jerseys you guys wore. I mean, Terry Glenn, his profile picture could see it. I mean, the throwback jerseys is awesome. It's just amazing. But speaking of, we got to get you into the Hall of Fame, man. I think you deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, Richmond.
Yeah, it's I keep getting on the list. I just got to get past. Make the semifinals or whatever. But I think it's gonna happen. Like I said, I have the stats, the career. You look at some of my accolades that were achieved. It's just when they put in 5 or 6 guys at one time, it's just really to make it. I'm definitely deserving of it, but I just go wait and see what happens. But I do appreciate when people like you and people keep mentioning and bringing your name up. That definitely helps. So when you're recognized by people that have watched you play and followed your career and stuff like that, that means a lot. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. And now, speaking of, obviously NFL is a tough business, a lot of player movement. And for you, how tough is it for you leaving the city of Miami, the team that drafted you? Obviously, you went to Cincinnati, but tell our fans, how tough is it leaving that team?
Yeah, I think it's anytime you spend that amount of time with a team, that's what you identify. So even though, I love the game of football, and I had to, go somewhere else to finish playing a couple of years, and it's a business, and I understand that. So it was no hard feelings or whatever like that. But the good thing was, once I did retire, and I called the Dolphins and say, I want to come back and retire. Dolphins welcomed me with open arms, and I signed a 1-day contract and retired the same day. But to have an opportunity to do that, because they could have said, well, no, we don't want to do that. That was the thing that was really impressive to me, to welcome me back with open arms and this and that. And I was happy to be home. So yeah, it's tough, but like you said, it's a job. You do what you got to do, and then, you go back. So that's it.
Well, you got to play with another great coach in Cincinnati, Dick LeBeau. What did you learn from Dick LeBeau, and what did he? What was he like as a coach? And I'm sure it's a different style than Don Shula, obviously, but what did he bring as a coach, Dick LeBeau?
Yeah, great coach. Like you said, Hall of Famer. Just he was known for. I knew about Coach LeBeau even before he got the head job there because he was at the Steelers, defense coordinator, and then he came up with that zone blitz or whatever it was called. And a lot of times that would be frustrating because he would have 7, 8, or 9 DBs, defensive backs in the game, and we had to account for him, this and that. So just his knowledge of the game and the way he was a defense coordinator and then hell of a player too. He played with Detroit, the Lions, just snap back when he played. But just, when somebody has contributed to the game, not only as a player, but a coach and now head coach, and snap, you have tremendous respect. And he had tremendous respect for me and some of the other veterans and stuff he brought in. So I think he knew he had to bring in guys like us to kind of change the culture to try to get that turned back around because they had been in a pattern of just losing, but bringing in guys that came from other organizations that had, you kind of trickle that in or filter it in to where you can help change the mindset of the guys that you got there. So, yeah, he was a great coach.
All right. One of our fans want to know, how long did it take to adjust from a warm weather to the cold weather in Cincinnati?
The funny thing about Cincinnati, and I tell people this, is I went to training camp in Cincinnati, so I figured it was going to be about 65, 70 degrees, and we went to, it was Georgetown, Kentucky, where we had training camp at, and where we practiced at, it was like you walked down the hill and the field was down and looked like a bowl surrounded, and it was just as hot and humid as it was in Miami. That was hard to believe, but once you got through training camp, it was okay, but you were good till about October, maybe close to the end of October, then it started to get cold. And the thing about Cincinnati that I noticed was a lot of times some of the practices will be colder than the actual game day. So, you adjust, but once the season was over, I was up out of there because of being cold. I don't like that cold weather.
I'm just curious, was the Dallas Cowboys interested in you also during free agency or no?
I think they were, but they still had Tournay.
Oh.
They still had Eric Williams. So I think they were interested, but it wasn't no room for me to play. So, and I understood that, this and that, but yeah, they were still set at tackle. So I said, okay. And then or maybe Flozell Adams was there. I can't remember.
Flozell Adams, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he was a young left tackle, and he was pretty good. So
I remember Flozell, man, a great career too.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to ask you about the battles against Pittsburgh, because I'm sure Dick LeBeau was really looking forward to battling against Pittsburgh, his former team. And what was that like? Obviously, Bengals Steelers always fight hard throughout the games, and it could be fights sometimes, but it's like hard battles against them.
No question. It was the Steelers. I mean, it was almost like we were at the Dolphins, but they were just the Bengals. But the Bengals and the Browns games was pretty intense. Then the Baltimore Ravens, and like you said, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Tennessee was in there, but Tennessee was probably a little bit newer. But I know Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore, those games there was like grudge matches. And I think in Cincinnati, we ran the football a little bit more, this and that. So those games got pretty physical, this and that. But yeah, I can remember playing that. But yeah, that, like you say, you coach for a former team and now you're playing against them, you want to beat them and this and that. So yeah, those got pretty intense.
And how bad did you guys wanted to win for Dick LeBeau, Coach LeBeau?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to win because, like I said, he brought in some veteran guys, this and that. And the one thing I could see was they had just as much talent as anybody else in the league. But it was like, Corey Dillon, Pete Moore, guys like that. But it was said to, like, if something bad happened in the game, just saying, hey, we can overcome this. And I think that was a transition that we were kind of going through with some of them, because if something normally happened bad in the past, it never turned around. I was like, no, it can turn around. You just got to be able to weather that storm. But man, they had some guys, talent Man, they had some players. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and you got to play with the guy. Your one of your teammates was Taiko Spikes. What was he like as a teammate, and what was it like playing with him? And he was a great player too.
Oh, you say Tequila Spike?
Yeah, Taiko Spikes.
Yeah. He was great. He was, even though he was a young guy, he was a leader um, on defense, and the guys respected him, and he would send out motivation messages, tweet them out to different guys, and then on offense, like I said, Corey Dillon, we had Lorenz O'Neill, we brought him in, and then the right tackle Willie Anderson. He was almost I guess he was a finalist for the Hall of Fame this year. So great players, and like I said, they had really good young guys that were up and coming. It was just getting that mindset change to where getting on a winning streak. But yeah, it was great, and they treated me well up there. They did.
Yeah, speaking of Lorenz O'Neill, we had him on the show 2 years ago, from former Charger also, and it was an honor talking to him. What a great career, awesome fullback, and I learned a lot from that conversation when he was on the show. And man, great player too.
He blocked for a lot of 1,000 yards rushes, and a lot of people talk about Moose Johnson and Emmitt Smith, but to be able to do it with different organizations and block for guys and help them achieve that 1,000-yard. I think he could be considered as a Hall of Famer too, but it's just tough. But yeah, that's my man there. He took care of me when I was up in Cincinnati.
Yeah. So the real question here: have you been on Spike's podcast yet with Two-Time Reyes?
I have not been on his podcast, but I know he's doing really well. And matter of fact, when I did the draft in Nashville, he was up there, so I got to see Tequila. And that was great. So always good to run in. I don't run into as many Bengals players, but a teammate is a teammate, and when they're good people, it's always good to run into them and still see them and say hello.
Hey, we got to get you on his podcast. That podcast is awesome. We got to get you on that show too.
Okay.
Yeah, so for you got to play with some great quarterbacks throughout your career. Obviously, Dan Marino. What was it like playing with John Kidna throughout your career?
Yeah, knew Kidna. I think he came from Seattle at the time, but he won the starting job, and he was a quarterback. He was a leader. He took control of the huddle and stuff like that, and we tried to get things going and turn around. But John was a great teammate. I think he's a high school football coach up around in the Dallas area now. So he's doing well and all that. So it was good. Yeah, I enjoyed being teammates with him.
All right. One of our fans want to know what's your go-to snack?
My go-to who?
Snack. Food.
I guess I like chips, man. I like chips. Every now and then, good chocolate chip or oatmeal raisin cookies, but probably chips and cookies probably my go-to snack.
So looking back at your career, man, obviously, like I said, you had an awesome career, a great career. You deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. But looking back at your career, what was it? How grateful are you to be in this position and being able to play with two great teams? Obviously, being home when you were at college, Texas A&M, great coaches, great teammates, great quarterbacks, and how grateful are you to be in this position right now?
I think anytime you achieve, making it to the NFL, that's an accomplishment, and to be able to play a game that you love, coming up as a little kid to play it, and then be able to play 13 years, and then play it at the highest level, and then achieve some of the accolades that I did, man, it doesn't get any better than that. Only thing I didn't do was win a Super Bowl, and if I could have did that, that would have been the ultimate thing. But just, man, it doesn't get any better than that. It's so very few people that actually get the odds of you making professional sports is astronomical. So to actually be one of them, I'm truly humble and grateful. And like I said, to do it for 13 years is a long time. So yeah, I'm ecstatic. I'm glad. No complaints here.
Yeah. And I got to ask you about your former teammate, same position, Willie Anderson, man. This guy had a great career too, and now he's doing a great job helping the youth with the football training. And what was it like playing with him, Ridley Anderson?
Yeah, it was good. Like I said, came in and he was the guy. I'd probably say it was his offensive line. I mean, because he was great, young tackle, and I just came in and we were good. I bounced stuff off him. He bounced stuff off of me, and that's how you learn. You watch him. I watch him doing film study and see some of the things he did really well. I said, okay, maybe I can work on that or this and that. But just a great player. He had a long career, this and that, and he's one of those great players I played with at Cincinnati.
Yeah. So what's it like now sharing your stories, your experiences in the league on shows like this? Obviously, you're on our friend show, the 3rd and 3 podcast. So what's that been like for you to sharing your stories on shows like these?
It's been good. Especially when COVID hit, it was kind of shut everything down and everybody was isolated to the house. So this was definitely an outlet where, you still get to interact, not face to face, but you can do an interview and then people post it out on social media and then people, learn about you, this and that. So it's been good, and I have no issues with it. But yeah, it's been good for me. So I enjoy it.
Yeah. So what do you like about today's NFL? And obviously, a lot of player movement now with this crazy offseason. But what do you like about the change from when you played and now?
Well, I think that the game definitely has changed a little bit. I think they're trying to make it safer. With that, the only thing I didn't understand was they added another.
Yeah.
They took away a preseason game, but they added a game. I was just like, okay. But just watching the younger players that's doing it now, what I used to do, and watching some of those young guys excel, become the next great and upcoming players. I think that's what I enjoy. And now I'm going to enjoy it because look like Dolphins are making the moves to be one of the more competitive teams. So should be great coming up this year.
Man, the AFC is like an all-star team. I mean, all the teams in the AFC, they all loaded up, and I feel I think they changed the playoff format too. And I still think two great teams would be left out of the playoffs in the AFC, in my opinion. This is how deep it is, the AFC.
It's very deep, yeah. And like you say, injuries could play a part or whatever, but you're right. The AFC, NFC, yeah, it's AFC is really, really deep. And Deshaun Watson just went to Cleveland, so
yeah,
that division. I'm sure Pittsburgh's going to be looking for a quarterback because you got to have one to be competitive. You got Joe Burrow, Cincinnati, Deshaun there, my man at Baltimore,
Lamar Jackson. Yeah,
Lamar Jackson. So
Tannehill.
Yeah. So it's gonna jump off. So yeah, I'm gonna see. If they don't get him in the free agency, I'm looking for them to probably be looking for a quarterback in the draft. So I'm gonna see what happens.
I got in my mock draft. I got Malik Willis going to Pittsburgh or Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Pittsburgh. I think Mike Tomlin is falling in love with Malik Willis. I think, in my opinion, that's because I think he went to his pro day. They had dinner with him already. So I think Steelers need a quarterback. I think he's a great fit for Mike Tomlin's offense, in my opinion.
You're probably right. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got to ask you about Andrew Whitworth. Obviously, winning a Super Bowl this year and going out, retiring, and playing against his former team against the Bengals. But what's it like seeing your fellow mate being offensive lineman, winning a Super Bowl, and just go out in paradise?
The thing I thought about is I think he's 40 or 41. So to have that type of longevity to play at a high level, still be starting. I mean, it made me kind of think of, I think Jackie Slater played like 18 years. Bruce Matthews, Mike Munchak, they played 18, 20 years. So anytime you can do that, Tom Brady's done it, but Tom Brady's the quarterback. But when you're in the trenches and you can play that long, my hat's off to you because you got some wear and tear on your body. But yeah, I was happy to see him actually go out and win a Super Bowl and then make that decision that he can retire. So I was happy for him.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on Tom Brady coming back?
That one kind of shocked me. It shocked me, but it didn't shock me. And somebody put out a tweet or something and said only Tom Brady can how did they put it? They said something like he can steal the thunder from March Madness because about the March Madness, this and that, and he announces that everything shifts from March Madness to Tom. But he's just done an outstanding job of taking care of his body, eating right, this and that, and staying in shape. And he's just a competitor, man. So he'll be back again at it this year. So we'll see.
Yeah. So speaking of March Madness, what are your thoughts on March Madness this year so far?
Man, it was some great games. I watched Duke, Michigan State. That was a great game. I watched U of H. Who did they beat Sunday? Was that? That wasn't Memphis. Who did they beat? Memphis State lost to Gonzaga. That was a good game.
Yeah.
And I can't remember Illinois. U of H. Yeah. So it was some great games, and I think Duke plays Kentucky tonight. So
no, Kentucky's out now. Sam Peters beat Kentucky.
Who does Duke play? Duke plays somebody tonight in San Antonio. So So yeah. But I love March Madness. Yeah, this is my time of year. So
yeah, Sam Peters
like the tournament. Yeah.
Me being from Jersey, man, Sam Peters is representing well for us in Jersey.
What part are they like? Are they like Meadowlands, close to there?
They're Jersey City. So I think, I think it's not near MetLife, but not near Meadowlands, but I think it's somewhere up north. Yeah, Jersey City. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know how far they can go, but they're amazing story right now.
And that's the team. They got nothing to lose, so you got to be careful when you play against a team like that because
we got Purdue next. They got Purdue next. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you beat them, you're supposed to, but if you don't, it's like they just Cinderella. So yeah.
So before we get to the last two things, I want to ask you about Armstead, the Dolphins who just signed the 5-year deal, and what are your thoughts on him as a player? Does he remind you of yourself a little bit, Armstead? Or?
He's a great tackle, very athletic. I think the thing that stood out in my mind when they signed him was going into this offseason, I think everybody knew the Dolphins needed to improve the offensive line. And signing a guy like him, and I believe, what's the guard we signed from the Cowboys?
I don't know who? Connor Williams, yeah.
Connor Williams, yeah. So you put those two guys, you solidify one side. And so now you can kind of work on the other side. But we needed some veterans presence up there in the line. So I was happy with it. And I think that's why the fan base is so excited is they're addressing things that we need and they're not sitting back waiting and saying, we're going to just try to go through the draft to fill needs. We're going to get some guys with experience so we can jump from here all the way up here to be competitive. And I think that's why everybody's so excited. So I was wondering, was he going to stay in New Orleans? Because it seemed like he was kind of wavering with his position, with his decision. But to actually get him and sign him, that was huge for us.
Do you think Tua can take this next step now with the weapons he has and the offensive line he has?
I think with the new head coach, things they're doing, they're going to open up the offense. And like I said, you got Tyreek Hill, you got Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker, you got Gesicki. We should be able to spread the field out, and with guys like that with that speed, and really open up the playbook to where we did a lot of run pass options, real quick passing. But the reason we had to do that was because the protection would break down at times. So giving him time will really give us an opportunity to see, is Tua going to take that next step or not? And I think he will, but I'm sure there's some question marks in some people's. But you got to surround him with enough talent and guys to where you can truly evaluate him, and that's what I've always said.
Yeah. So the last two things here, our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach. I'm sure you know him, and now he's a coach for Grambling State University. and we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stays safe, the kids stay safe. So we'll send you the foundation so you can go check it out.
Okay.
And the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
Man, I appreciate everything they've done. You know, the last 2 years. I mean, I know they've loosened up the protocols as far as COVID, not wearing masks, this and that. But when we were going through that, and you know, people were limited, we had to wear the mask, and to be able to take care of people regardless of whether they were vaccinated or not, to put your life in jeopardy to take care of other ones, you know, just it's not enough you can say about people like that. You know, they truly care about mankind and got us through this. I can't say enough praise and stuff for those people that work in that area.
So before we close this out, would you like to plug anything to our fans where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, I'm on all of them. Facebook, I'm Richmond Webb. Twitter, I'm Richmond Webb, and then actually somebody had Richmond Webb on Instagram, so I put the real Richmond Webb. So yeah, you can find me on any of those social media. Most of the time, I'm on Twitter more than anything, but those are how you can find me on social media.
All right, well said, and there it is. That wraps up episode 999 with former Texas A&M, Miami Dolphins, Cincinnati Bengals offensive tackle Richmond Webb. What a heck of a career! Great person, great offensive tackle, 7-time Pro Bowl. Man, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Hopefully, he gets that opportunity. But man, keep up the great work. Thank you for joining us today. It was just truly an honor, and we would love to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. But man, thank you again, and good luck to your Dolphins this year.
I heard that. Thank you, and thanks for having me on the show. And definitely send me that link on Hugh Jackson.
Yeah.
That human trafficking is very serious, and yeah, so send me that link, and good luck to Grambling this year. He's head coach down there. So thanks for having me on your show.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.